Connected to iPhone. iPhone disconnected. Ready to pair. Connected to iPhone.
Pond Lehocky. You can see it in their eyes and feel it in their handshake.
Because we recognize that there is
Supposing that I say to you, each one of you is really the great self, the Brahman. And you say, well, all you've said up to now makes me fairly sympathetic to this intellectually, but I don't really feel it. What must I do to feel it really? My answer to you is this. You ask me that question because you don't want to feel it really. You're frightened of it. And therefore, what you're going to do is you're going to get a method of practice so that you can put it off. So that I can say, well, I can be a long time on the way getting this thing. And then maybe I'll be worthy of it after I have suffered enough. Because we are brought up in a social scheme whereby we have to deserve what we get. And the price that one pays for all good things is suffering. But all of that is precisely postponement because one is afraid here and now to see it. If you had the nerve, real nerve, you would see it right away. Only that would be, when one feels you shouldn't have nerve like that. Why, that would be awful. That would be, that wouldn't do at all. Because after all, I'm supposed to be poor little me. And I'm not really much of a muchness. And I'm playing the role of being poor little me. And therefore, in order to be something great, like a Buddha or a Jivan Mukta, one liberated in this life, I ought to suffer for it. So you can suffer for it. There are all kinds of ways invented for you to do this. And you can discipline yourself, and you can gain control of your mind, and you can do all sorts of extraordinary things. I mean, you can drink water in through your rectum. Do the most fantastic things. But that's just like being able to run the 100 yards in 9 seconds, or push a peanut up Mount Tamalpais with your nose, or any other kind of accomplishment you want to engage in. There's absolutely nothing to do with the realization of the self. The realization of the self fundamentally depends on coming off it. You know, the sort of, when we say to people who put on some kind of an act, we say, oh, come off it. And some people can come off it. They laugh and say, they suddenly realize, you know, they were making fools of themselves, and they laugh at themselves and they come off it. So in exactly the same way, the guru, the teacher, is trying to make you come off it. Now, if he finds he can't make you come off it, he's going to put you through all these exercises, so that you, at the last time, when you've got enough discipline, enough suffering, and enough frustration, you'll give it all up and realize you were there from the beginning and there was nothing to realize. But the guru is very clever. He says, all right, if this is the way you have to go, this is the way you have to go. You asked for it. You came to me, I didn't invite you, you see, the guru says. You came to me and said, I want to learn yoga. Well, he said, yoga is union. You're Tattvamasi, you know, you're that. Well, now you say, I'm sorry, I don't understand that, because I only get it intellectually, I don't feel it. So I see. I've got to satisfy you. The customer is always right. No? I've got to give you all this work to do. Because you can't see directly that this is so. But he's looking at you in a funny way, you see. The guru is always saying to you, you know, what are you doing? What's your game? Imagine, for example, a father confessor. And you feel terribly guilty that you've committed murders and robberies and adulteries and fornications and all kinds of arson and injury to people and financial shenanigans.
What up?
And you go to this man and say, I'm a terrible sinner. He says, really? He says, I have murdered somebody. He says, how many times? And you think, oh, good Lord, this man doesn't realize how awful I am. And you recite all these things, he's perfectly calm.
Good morning, guys. Good morning.
Then you say to him, well, you don't seem to be very shocked. He said, you haven't confessed any serious sins. He said, what do you mean by serious sin? Well, he said, what do you think?
What's good? What's good? How you feeling this morning? Yo, a bird just landed right on the windowsill just now. Looked right at me. He was like, oh, wrong house, and flew away. Damn. Oh, my back is killing me, yo. I don't know, like, I got a pain right here. I think I might pull a muscle in the gym or something, but it's been going on for like 2 days now.
Well,
I'm dropping this shit everywhere. What the fuck?
I just feel wrong. I just feel there's something in the basis of me that tells
You want
me
some?
that I am.
No?
No,
No.
I don't.
Don't say I ain't off.
It could be that I'm spiritually troubled. That I'm egocentric.
Don't say I didn't offer.
It's quite often.
Because I normally don't offer. Trust me.
He says you are guilty. Something really terrible. What would that mean? I have no idea. Now he says, come on. Yogi, what is the real sin? You think what, me? I, little me, could do something worse than murder, than worse than spiritual pride?
Going to Vegas? Who you going to Vegas with?
Just little me? I mean, I'm a real...
I want to go. I want to go to Vegas.
What could that be?
How long you gonna be out there? Me and my homies planned a Vegas trip like this was supposed to pop off like years ago. I think it was like we planned it when I got a couple homies. All of us are the same fucking age. We was like, all right, yo, the year we all turned 25, we're gonna go to fucking Vegas and shit. I bet that would work. Yeah, I swear. Yeah, we planned on going to Vegas at age 25, and it never came through. Now, hopefully, I need to look into like one or two things, but maybe I can get my passport this year. I was denied last year for some reasons, and I've slowly been trying to get those issues squared away so that I am eligible to leave the country. So before the end of the year, I think I can get everything squared away, and next year, go ahead and get my fucking passport. Then I can start doing some traveling.
It can't be mentioned. It's too dreadful to be talked about.
Yo, what up, BR? Oh, y'all gonna be out there for a week? Oh, boy, Sin City, watch out. Watch out, Sin City, Mini coming through. Yo, all you gotta do is just send me a couple pictures, yo. Just DM me some pictures. I wanna see what you're getting into. I want some shit to make my eyes open like, oh, look at these motherfuckers wilding out. See the picture, the eyes get big like, oh shit. Motherfuckers bungee jumping. Or the slingshot, you get on the slingshot ride where two people sit in a little strap down seat and they crank that bitch down and they pop the release and the slingshot shoot your ass way up in the sky and shit. Like, oh, I can't believe she did that, because I would never do that. I would never ride that shit. But y'all gonna stay at one of Trump Towers, man? Y'all gonna stay at the Trump Hotel over there? You know what I'm saying? Trump say he got that shit on lock, man.
That's false modesty.
Y'all go stay at Trump's crib.
So the guru challenges, you see. He challenges you. If you raise the question, he doesn't go out and preach in the street and say, come on everybody, you ought to be converted. He sits down under a tree and waits. And people start coming around and they offer him propositions. He answers back. And he challenges you in any way that he thinks is appropriate to your situation. Now, if you've got a thin shell and your mask is easily dispatched with, he simply
That's cool, yo.
uses what we might call an easy method. He says, listen, Shiva, come off it. Don't pretend you're this guy here. I know who you are. And the guy
trust me.
sort of twinkles a bit and says, well, I guess you're right. But the people aren't like that. They have very thick shells. And so
What are you doing today? Same shit I do all the time on my days off. I get up early as I can, make me a smoothie so I can drink my fruits, come in the studio, turn on the PlayStation, bring my little buddy out, and paint. I love it. I love this shit. If this was my everyday life, man, I would die a happy man, yo. I gotta get this work thing out of my fucking reality some kind of way, yo. I gotta pull away from the job. You know? You know what the job stands for? Just over broke. J-O-B. You're just over broke. You're not broke. You're not in poverty. You know what I'm saying? You're not broke. You're just a little bit over broke. Yeah. Yeah. But if your job cut your hours, then you're broke. Just like everybody else without a job. You know what I'm saying? That's all the job is just keeping you over broke. Just over broke. If you ain't got a career, or if you're not a business owner or a property owner, you're not gonna make it on an hourly wage. Somebody paying you hourly wages. You'll never make it. You'll never make it. I don't give a fuck how much you save, invest in 401k, and none of that bullshit. You gotta have people pay you for a service or a product. That's the only way to build real fucking wealth, yo. You gotta have motherfuckers working for you. You can't work for somebody and build wealth, yo. Gotta go to Spain, really? But, so this, on my days off, I really just try to invest in myself. Invest my time in myself. Once again, when you work, that's all you're doing, yo. You allowing somebody to put a price on your time, on your life. Okay, right now, this is me doing exactly what I want to do. Now, when I go to work, I got to do what somebody else tell me to do. And they pay me X amount of dollars an hour. And I agree to that shit. That an hour of my life, an entire hour of my life and my time and my energy, I'll agree that it's worth $16 an hour. That's what I'm agreeing to. An hour of my life is only worth $16. That's bullshit. That's complete and utter nonsense. An hour of my life is way more precious than that. So, on my days off, I create. And I put my hours into creation of beauty. Oh my God, yo, I swear I want to take like a pain pill, like ibuprofen or something, yo, but my fucking God, yo, my back is hurting so bad. Oh, man. Hunter, that's what's up. And this is what you're doing with an hour of your life. If you sitting here and chill with me for an hour and build and just respond to each other, do you feel like this time and communication right now is more valuable than what you do at your everyday job, you know? And yo, peace and love to the motherfuckers who actually have decent careers and do what they love for a living. If you've ever watched my show, there's a little, it's corny as hell, but I didn't write it down, but over the time, there's just like a little monologue I do sometimes at the end of the show. And I say the same shit all the fucking time, yo. I say this all the time. If you really watch my stream, when I do my monologue, you know it's coming. You probably know that shit by fucking heart, yo. But master your craft. If you got any kind of talent, I don't give a fuck what it is. If you just got a really good hobby that you like, if you can turn it into something more than just a hobby, whatever kind of craft, whatever kind of talent you got, yo, master that shit, yo. Seriously try to master your fucking talent. And once you have your talent mastered, find a way to make money off of that shit. And that is the dream. To earn a living, to be able to support yourself by doing something you already actually enjoy doing, yo. If you can do that shit, yo, I can see that shit. Just, I don't know. I'm working on 2 commissions right now. You know how proud that make me, yo? I put groceries in my refrigerator and I paid bills off of doing something that is fucking fun to me. You see what I'm saying? This shit is fun. It's, you know, you tell your kids to go outside and play. Go outside and play, get on them, ride the bikes. This is what I'm doing. I get them, and I literally think to myself, I'm gonna go play in my studio, go play with my paints and some pictures and shit. It's just playtime to me. It's fun. I enjoy this shit, but it's still work, and it's not a job. I can't see it. It don't feel like a job. You know what I'm saying? I'm commissioned to do something for someone, you know, that I like doing. So, if anybody can fucking do that shit, yo. You know? I know, man, like I said, I do have a regular job, but I don't work no fucking overtime. Period. Period. I know some guys I work with, they need it. You know what I'm saying? They got families or this and that. Are they trying to accomplish this and get ahead in this way? You know, and they may need a day of overtime or 2. I know a couple guys, motherfuckers work 2-3 days overtime a week. You know, only taking 1 or 2 days off a week, yo, swear to God. But one dude told me he made like 70-something grand 1 year. You know what I'm saying? He bust his fucking ass. He made almost 30 grand in fucking overtime. But he was in that building all those hours, yo. I can't imagine that shit, yo. Like, you just in there for money. Like, fuck that. You know what I'm saying? I don't sell a lot of art, but the art I do sell, that shit subsidizes me enough where I don't need overtime. I utilize your company because financially, that's how our economic system works, and I gotta have I gotta have Federal Reserve notes in order to survive within this system. Okay, you want to do it like that, so I utilize you for that, but I'm only using you as much as you're using me, and I don't need extra from you, so I'm not gonna give you extra. I'm not gonna give you extra time of my life. All my extra time that I have, I'm gonna focus that shit and use it the way I want to use that shit. Entiendo porque English. What's good? BR, where are you from, yo? Again, you're from Italy, right? And that's the fucking sad part. The not having a choice. When you don't have a choice, you're so busy all the fucking time, you can't see the system, yo. It's like it's fucked up. They keep motherfuckers too busy to fucking think. That is one of the main parts of their agenda, yo. Busy, busy, busy. Consume, 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 consume. Work, work, work. Bills, bills, bills. Busy, 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 busy. Consume, consume, consume. Motherfuckers can't think, yo. Like, and you can't think, so you can't strategize a way out of that shit. It's fucked up, yo. That shit is crazy. De Donde America del Norte, South Carolina. All right, look, guys, I'm gonna go refill this smoothie. I filled the fucking blender up this morning. I ain't gonna lie. There's probably like 3 glasses in there. This was just number 1. Yeah, America. Oh, it's muy malo, man. Telling you, bro.
He has to invent ways of cracking them. So here's how it goes.
Yeah, America's not that good, man, right now, bro. Like, we fucking around. We've been on Russia dick for a minute, and North Korea. Nah, man, now we got this fucking I don't know, man. I try to listen to like world news a lot. I like listening to RT television, and I watch a little bit of BBC, but they lie just as bad as CNN, CBS, and all the other motherfuckers, and Al Jazeera. But still, like, just on the world scale right now, America we look fucked up, yo. Like, it's crazy, yeah. I'm waiting to see what's gonna happen about this Guam shit. Goddamn, I don't know. We gonna be in like a fucking like the 1960 Cold War shit again, where motherfuckers really don't know if motherfucker gonna really push that button. Like, I will nuke you. Oh well, we gotta stop Iraq from enriching plutonium. We gotta stop Saddam, weapons of mass destruction. Man, the U.S. they the police, man, but they know Russia got stockpiles. You know what I'm saying? And other countries got stockpiles and shit too. But that's the thing about the Western culture, yo, and the conquest of the Europeans, yo. Like, they just used violence. And yeah, the European man has conquered the world, and he runs the fucking world. And he controls 99% of the world resources, and has set up this great economic system of banking and finance with central banks to run countries. But he's done all of this through extreme violence, colonization, conquest, motherfucking destruction, and through being able to make weapons bigger. Just think about, the evolution of the weapon and who has focused the most on making it easier and quicker to kill people. Who has accomplished that the most? And now we're at this point where it's like, oh, we've used our smartest minds and our best technology to make weapons of death. And now everybody's fucking scared because these countries have them and they're gonna fucking really play around and fuck some shit up, yo. This is no fucking joke, yo. The world will not be destroyed by black gangsters in the streets or some fucking Islamic radical terrorist hijacking an airplane. This world is going to be destroyed by some fucking European scientists with fucking degrees in all kind of mathematics sitting behind some fucking screen in a bunker with a fucking key code and a red button to push. Facts. The sad truth, man. So yeah, America, it's malo. It's no bueno, man. No bueno right now. You know? Well, I forgot who said it, but one of the founding fathers said, "Yo, we need every nation should have a revolution every 200 years." You know, because the slime is just gonna seep up in there any fucking way. It just happens. It's a part of nature. The nature of men. Men are gonna be fucking slimy and greedy and want to have more power and control, and they're gonna fucking accumulate and hoard fucking wealth to themselves. And every 200 years, that fucking head needs to be chopped off and let that shit grow all the way back. You know what I'm saying? And try. Other than that, we're just, hey, good morning. We're just gonna have a fucking corrupt system, man. This constantly pushing towards this one world, one religion, one language, totalitarian dictatorship. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna be a mixture of both. Brave New World in 1984. Both of those kind of scenarios just meshed into one, and it's slowly going there. And the more America feels like it's losing power on a world scale, because it has been the world's superpower and the world's most economically prosperous country for so long, then I think the handlers of this nation will attempt some more major shit and or create another enemy or create another global threat that everyone should be afraid of, so that they can just flex their muscles. Like they just, they already stopped talking about that. The largest non-atomic bomb ever dropped. Just a few months ago. Like the memory of Americans is so short right now. Our memory span is so fucking short. As soon as the next celebrity gets a sex change, we forget about real shit that just fucking happened, that this country really did to other real human beings. It's just like, oh, but on the next episode of Love and Hip Hop, that girl weave got snatched out. And it's like, but oh well. But that's the thing, though, man. When you look past the when you look past the money, bro, that's the thing. Like, people think money is the end all be all, but who makes money? And that's when we get to a lot of real hard topics and social issues and things like that. We ask questions, but some reason, like on main issues, we get to a level of what we feel is understanding where we just stop asking why. Okay, the money system, the money, man, money gonna kill us, bro. But where does money come from? Who makes money? Okay, so I want a car, right? I want a nice ass, let's say a Jaguar. Oh, so now I gotta go to a dealership and motherfucking come up with some kind of lease agreement or payment plan so that I can purchase a Jaguar from the dealership. Where the dealership get the Jaguar from? Okay, well, the dealership get the Jaguar from the manufacturer. So now they gotta make agreements and payments and everything so they can get cars from the manufacturer to bring to their dealership to sell to other people. The manufacturer, they ain't got to worry about fucking Jaguars. The people who own the manufacturer, they drive all the Jaguars they want. You know what I'm saying? It's just like anything. Money is a product. You know what I'm saying? It's a product that's based on debt. On one of the few products, and it's weird as shit how money works. Just the creation of money, and the people who create money understand this whole shit because they are the creators of it. So it's the control and power that's going to kill us, not the money. Because the controllers make you believe that the money is the value, and it's not, because money is just something we use to exchange for products that are made from resources. Most of the food you eat has corn in it, some kind of corn base, you know what I'm saying, or meat products. These are resources, you know what I'm saying? So we use different forms of paper, plastic, debit, digital currency to exchange for resources because the people who control the resources tell you that money is valuable. Leroy. Thanks, bro. Oh, what did I just do? Yeah. Wait, that's because, I mean, yo, this bird keep landing on my windowsill like he's trying to come and chill with me. But that's the thing, though. But I mean, humans have existed for, thousands of years without money. Money and currency is not new, but is not, old as hell. Where, I mean, there's never been there wasn't a time where we couldn't function without currency. You know what I'm saying? But the way, like you say, but money can be anything. Seashells, certain kind of pebbles or stones, or they've used tortoise shells, they've used sticks of wood for money. You know what I'm saying? It's whatever we consider as valuable, but that's in a time where there is a surplus of productivity or labor. But that's because you have to have a good. First, you have to have a good form of living and being able to maintain your own health before you can even build up a surplus of anything else that you can actually sell as fucking products. So for fucking thousands of years it was mostly like, you know, surviving your own, living off the land, or fucking a small trade and barter system. You know what I'm saying? But currency is good. Currency is a good thing. They talk about currency in the fucking Bible with the half shekels and all of that shit. So we've been making coins and stuff forever. But ever since, when even then in the Bible with the half shekel, it was a beef about the coins, because you can only pay the church with this kind of currency, and everybody didn't have that currency, and so you had to go to the coin makers, or the coin exchangers, and so that's when they started coming up with interest and all kind of shit. So as soon as, it's like every time a form of currency is introduced into a society, someone always figures out a way to fucking manipulate that shit and hoard the wealth. So I mean, is there a better way? I don't fucking know. Yeah. Are they trying to make it? Are they trying to make it, our God? But there's this one good documentary you if you're really all right, Ton. What's the name? What did Grace say? Oh, Money Masters. I don't think I have that on the hard copy. I might do. Yo, Money Masters. Oh yeah. Come here. Going to eat. But if y'all I had another set of DVDs. I gotta clean this place up. Anyway. But yeah, Money Masters is a really, really good documentary on, do I believe in God? Not the God of the Bible. Not like how the Bible describes God, or I don't know if you I kind of believe more of like the metanetter, yeah. Lilith, the first woman, or Adam's first wife. But yeah, the God in the Bible is mean, yo. Like, I don't know, he's weird, yo. It's weird, just like little shit. But then like, people say, oh, you gotta believe the Bible literally. But then when you do believe it literally and literally ask real literal questions, then people are like, oh well, God says no man shall fully understand the Bible. And it's like, what? You get all these weird ass fucking answers from people, man. And it's like, dude, obviously you have no idea what you're talking about. So, I don't know. My grandmother was a preacher. She had her own church. She raised me and my sister as from kids, yo. So I never missed a day of church or Bible study or revival or prayer and worship service or going to other churches or having other churches visit our church and choir rehearsal and goddamn Sunday school. And I never missed any of that shit for years, yo, until I was like old enough to move out. Yo, and then as soon as I left out the house, I was like, screw this church stuff, man. Because, I don't know. I asked my grandmother a serious question when I was about 13. We were home by herself on a Saturday, and she was sitting at the kitchen table preparing her lesson for Sunday morning. And she was getting all her her notes and everything ready for service the next day. And I was washing dishes, and she said, she told me to go get one of her books. She had, man, concordances and this version of the Bible and that version. Then I went in. When I got her book, I came back and I was just like, how do you know this stuff is real? And she just looked at me real crazy, and she was like, what? I was like, well, like, why do you believe all this stuff? And she did not answer me, yo. I don't know. And it was confusing to me that she couldn't answer me. And so now I don't know. And ever since then, I've been trying to figure it out for myself, and it's just like, there's a lot of other better explanations to who, what, where, and how than the fucking Bible, yo. I swear to God, all you gotta do is go back to 325 AD at the Council of Nicaea, and it's like, okay, this is rubbish, you know. This is basically rubbish, okay. Then you can research Josephus Flavian and say, oh, that's crazy, right? You know, when you realize what he did, and shit is okay. And then you read the Dead Sea Scrolls, and it's like, oh, okay. But I don't know. Historically, if you read the Bible and then research the Bible, it's like, no. Moses? No, probably not. Jesus? I don't think so. I really know Jesus. You know, he's not there, you know. We like to believe in hell because it rocks. You know, I don't know, man. We like to believe because it makes us feel good. You know? That a sexy charlatan like Chris Angel. Yo, but Chris Angel can walk barefoot over a swimming pool, dude, just like Jesus did. He's not a charlatan. It's legit. It's for real. Come on, man. Lazarus, straight from the dead, yo. You know, you don't remember that part? Oh, shit. Fucking shit. I think I gotta do more stretches, yo. Holy shit. I can walk over a frozen lake. Wonder. It's amazing. Look, man. God said, look, guys, I kind of fucked up a little bit. I ain't know it was really gonna work out like this, you know, so I gotta sever ties with you motherfuckers, man. And I'm gonna go tell one person I'm about to flood this bitch out. Look, yo, no, peep this. Hey, peep this, bro. Yo, build this ark, son. Get all the animals, right? I mean, you can tell people what you're doing if you want. You know what I'm saying? But I'm only fucking with you, really. You know what I'm saying? Because you my boy and shit. So, you know what I'm saying? Do that, because it's coming, dog. It's coming. Because I kind of fucked up a little bit. I ain't know all this was going to happen. So I'm just kill everybody. Oh my God. Really? God? That's your God? But it was reasons. But he knows all and sees all, right? Abraham. Look, man, look, Abraham. What I want you to do is, if you really gonna be my follower, you know what I'm saying? You say you got my back like that, I want you to kill your son. Word up. Take him up on that rock. Cut his fucking heart out, yo. Show me you for real. Then we can ride. We ride or die, homies, then. Alright, guys. Come on, son. Let's go have a talk. Lay down on this rock right here. Don't worry. Just close your eyes. Then God jump back in like, whoa, stop, my dude. Yo, you was really about to do it. Yo, you crazy, son. Oh, you was really about to kill your son, dog. Yo, you a fool for that. Yo, I didn't really think you was gonna do that. But you cool though, man. You cool, man. Dang, dude, you was really about to kill your son for me, yo. Oh, but that's the God? That's God? Oh. But then they say, oh, you know, well, the New Testament, and we got a new covenant now. You know, new Ark of the Covenant now, you know. So things is different, you know. We can eat pork as long as you bless your food first. You know what I'm saying? We got Jesus performing miracles, even though there's only one other source that mentions his name outside of the Bible, which is kind of fictitious for the most part. You know, but we just gotta believe all this shit because it makes us feel good. You know, because it describes the afterlife to us. It gives us hope in these unfulfilled prophecies that are soon to come, because it's always right around the corner. Because no man shall know the return of Christ. And so, for over 2,000 years, these prophecies have been unfulfilled, and with good marketing schemes employed by the fucking the Zionist Jews to keep this motherfucking myth circulating, making it one of the first books off the fucking printing press.
So space
and galvanizing the minds of millions throughout centuries of conquest and torture and manipulation in order to accept this teaching and religion and this book of stories that have been edited and re-edited and written in this version and that version. So it's, I don't know. It's amazing. I find it amazing that it has persisted so long, even though we know, like, many other myths, all the way back to the Sumerians, the Egyptians, the Greeks, and the Roman gods, and all of this stuff. But somehow, this fucking Christ, this Jesus Christ story has persisted. Whoa. Way longer than all the rest of them. And people are still dying over this shit. The Bible is crazy. Oh yeah, you can paint. I give paint lessons, man. I give tutorials. You can buy my DVD. Now only $99.99, but with this free offer, if you input the code Trap House Entertainment, you can get 3 DVDs for only $9.99. I don't believe none of that shit I said, man. I'm just fucking with you, bro.
Don't feel that we're still the Big Bang. But you are.
Ooh, don't drop the paint.
You are actually, if this is the way things started, if there was a Big Bang at the beginning, you're not something that is a result of the Big Bang. On the end of the process, you are still the process. You are the Big Bang, the original force of the universe coming on as whoever you are.
But then too, like, science can only do so much, you know what I'm saying? Because the Western civilization has colonized almost every interaction of intelligence, even science. You know, where they try to use their tools of measurement to explain what we consider to be reality. And if you can't measure or weigh it, then there's, you know, then you get into all these other fields of like pseudoscience, you know, and mostly theology. You know, what is consciousness? What is the spirit? You know, what was creation? So when science really does try to explain that, you know, it always comes up short, and religion can't really give a definite explanation either. So there's always this blending point you got to get to sooner or later, where you gotta merge your, you know, your science with your theology, and just be a spiritual person, and just realize that. I had this conversation all the time, man, but everything is everything. There's only one thing, yo. There's only one thing, and we're all a part of that one thing, yo. There is no hell. There is no non-existence. You cannot not exist. We have always existed. You will always fucking exist, just in different forms that you want. You just because, and this reality right here really restricts us because we are in a fucking shell. Our true self is housed inside of a shell, so we have no real vantage point or any counterbalance to fucking compare, an alternate existence to. But this is not it. This is not the end all be all to what you are. So there is no non-existence. No, when you die, everything does not stops. Non-existence is heaven. I don't think so, dude. You can't. How can you not exist?
So the thing is a noun. Jake's quite right. A noun isn't a part of nature, it's part of speech. There are no nouns in the physical world. There are no separate things in the physical world.
You are infinite consciousness experiencing life. That's all it is. Infinite consciousness. Are you conscious right now? Are you aware of yourself? When you say I, what are you speaking of? Because when you say my foot hurts, it's not the same as saying I. The I is always here. It will always be here. It will always exist. Consciousness is everything. And there is no non-existence to consciousness. We're just small, very small, minute fractions of infinite consciousness that are temporarily housed in a vessel to experience life in order to enrich consciousness itself. And that's how we grow. That's how we evolve.
You try and pick up a fish in your hands, and the fish is wiggly and it slips out. What do you do to get hold of the fish? You use a net. And so the net is the basic thing we have for getting hold of the wiggly world. So if you want to get hold of this wiggle, you've got to put a net over it. And I can number the holes in the net. So many holes up, so many holes across. And if I can number these holes, I can count exactly where each wiggle is in terms of a hole in that net.
Yeah, that's the weirdest thing. You can't fucking comment on the YouTube if you're not on your account.
To do that, I've got to break up the wiggle into bits. And I've got to call this.
No, because population growth. How come there are more people currently on this planet now? At one point in what we call time, right now there's more people alive now than there was, 10,000 years ago. So it can't be the same consciousness, the exact same consciousness coming back into, because there's more. Consciousness it expands, and the more we know, the more we enrich the infinite consciousness, the more it can grow and spread out and experience more life. And this is we're trying to figure ourselves out. It's the weirdest. It's a hard concept to understand, but we're trying to figure ourselves out. The universe wants to understand itself, but it's aware of itself, and we're aware of ourselves. I am aware that I am aware. I acknowledge I, but I know that I'm not just, I'm not my brain, I'm not my mind, I'm not even my thoughts. You know, I'm a part of something else. Abstract surrealism. Not that oh, you up on that Salvador Dali. I got some abstract.
This is our Kemetic way of life class, right? Okay. Now let's get back to some fundamentals, right? Okay. The word that we use for, to express the entirety of man is being, correct? Okay, being. If you want to have a spiritual science, right? And if you want to make your study of spirituality scientific,
It goes this
you
way.
must start off with a very clear nomenclature, a very precise labeling system.
The dirty
A lot of confusion and a lot of the failure for people to understand spirituality comes from the fact that their exposure to the spiritual literature was accomplished through imprecise language for a number of reasons. One is that a lot of the literature out there, the people who wrote it, didn't experience the spiritual things they were speaking about. So they use, so they just confused terms, but they didn't know what they're talking about. There were people who read other people's works, who read other people's work. It's a borrowing, and without the understanding of the reality that the words were aiming at. Another problem comes from the translation into Western languages, okay, and Western culture. Well, that wasn't their thing. Spirituality was not their thing. They received this, it's a transmitted information, and, it's not a controversial issue, it's very well established historically. Thing is that a lot of the main historical books have been suppressed. You understand that? But if you go to the sources, book by Strabo and book by Diodorus Siculus and Herodotus and, Epicurus and all of these original Greek authors, they'll tell you in a minute that they got their stuff from the ancient Egyptians and from the Babylonians and things of that nature. It's another story that I need not get into right now. The point that I want to make to you is that is this imprecision of language. You with me? So we use, when I want to refer to the totality of who I am, what I am, and so forth, I use the word being. I don't say myself, I say my being. You with me? And when you want to refer to...
All right, the man we're listening to is Ra'un Nefer Amen. He actually wrote the Meta Netter. So this is one of his introduction lectures to the Meta Netter.
God's, the word for God that will be synonymous with being in the Kemetic tradition is Ned, Chair. So this will be the word that describes, that represents God's being, Neb Chair. Neb is Lord, right? Is off, and Chair is all. The Lord of all. Okay?
It all depends on religion means killing people. It sure does. It all depends on how detailed the piece is, how much time actually goes into it, from just, how many people are in the photograph. Of course, one person would be easier to paint than 3 people, or especially articles of clothing, like his hoodie is a solid gray at the top and a solid like bluish purple here. Or what if it was polka dots or pinstripes or some Burberry print or something? So that'd take more time. The background, what if it was if he was standing in front of a forest with Bambi or somebody back there? But it really all depends. And then the size of the canvas matters. So if this canvas was only 8 by 10, of course it would take a lot less time to paint than this canvas, which is 24 by 36. So each piece has its own time frame. I normally ask for at least a month. If you want a piece of art from me, give me at least a month. Because I do work a regular job that interferes with my time and my scheduling. And on top of that, I use oil paints, so I like for my paints to dry completely in between layers, so when I come back and touch it, I'm not pulling any paint off. And this way of painting is called fat over lean, and it really just gives my paintings the quality that I like, and the look that I go for is you do a layer and you let it dry completely to the touch, and then your next layer it looks nicer. It brings out the colors more. It gives you that more depth and definition, and it just makes the colors look more believable if you can use the techniques that I use. And I'm getting better at it, so every piece I do is my best piece, because all of the work and all of the practice that I've ever have accumulated over the time that I have been painting has brought me to this piece. And so this is all of my skill and all of my talent right now at this one moment is going into this one piece, and then my next piece will have everything that I've learned from this piece can add to the next one. And artists always get better, the more work you do, the better you get, the more consistent your work becomes, and that's how you kind of build your fingerprint for your art, where there's several artists that I know their brushstrokes. I don't have to see their name on the art. I can look at it and be like, okay, I know who that is. Okay, I know that art. I know that painter right there, and I definitely know that artist, and I can just tell by their works, and hopefully in a couple of years my art will have that signature look where you won't have to see my name on it. You can be like, oh, that's a Prince painting right there. I know that dude's stuff anywhere. Yeah. Well, I don't know. I've been painting for not a long time, but way longer than I've been streaming, and several reasons. For a long time, I never had the capability to stream. You know, this technology really just came out in the last generation of consoles to make it easy and affordable enough for someone like me to actually be able to do something like this. You know, and I find that amazing that I'm on live TV and I have an audience. It blows my fucking mind every time I live stream. No lie, yo. And it's weird. So like, I really didn't even get into streaming until PS4, and that's just because their PlayStation Live, they really promoted it and made it kind of popular. And so just going on there and watching other people stream, and I came across a couple of artists and some anime drawers, and there was like tons of streamers, and these guys, and it's weird, like I don't see any of them nowadays, but there was like tons of shows on there, and we're doing really well. And I was like, let me give this a shot, yo. And so I just turned the camera on one day while I was painting, and people start watching. So, and here we are, about a year or so. I don't think I've even been streaming for 2 years yet, but probably I'm right at a year or so I've been streaming. And I did it on Ustream for a while. Well, because I'm almost at 2 years now. Yeah, because I was on Ustream for a long time, and then PlayStation took Ustream down from the PlayStation Network because it was getting too raunchy and getting too many red flags and stuff. But I had a lot of followers on there, and I had like 3,000 followers on Ustream, and my videos were getting like thousands of views on there, and I was kind of popular on Ustream. And then once they took it down, I had to go to YouTube and compete with so many other people, and I don't really know the system of exactly how to make your YouTube popular, but there's like, I've been reading up more on it now, and there's like certain hashtags. Well, that's for Instagram. I was trying to see about Instagram followers too, and it was like, well, whatever you want your hashtags to link to, you gotta put it on all your posts. And I'm like, well, yeah, I don't hashtag any of my posts with anything, like, so I guess now I gotta like hashtag everything, like art and education, hip hop, music, paintings by the Prince, hashtag this, hashtag that, hashtag. I'm like, who the fuck's got time to do all that shit? Like, goddamn. This is the work part of it. Like actually promoting yourself or trying to market yourself as a brand, that's difficult. I need to hire somebody to do that part for me. That's why I failed art class, and my art teacher was like, dude, really? I was like, what? She's like, come on, Travis. I was like, I don't like the history. I don't care what style Gauguin or Van Gogh used, or what year Michelangelo painted the Sistine. I don't care about that stuff. Just let me draw some stuff. You have to know art history, Travis. This is important. You have to know the literature of the art, the dates, the styles. Like, I can't pass you. I'm like, yeah, screw it then. Fuck it. I failed art. So what? So who cares? Big deal. Woo, woo, woo. But now, it's like, I should have paid attention to that shit. I don't know how to market myself. That's why you got to get the turpentine substitute. an odorless thinner. Yo, this shit is not bad. I'm not just gonna take the cap off and be like, yeah. But nah, this isn't. I mean, it's here. I got it right here in an open jar. This room isn't very big, and it's like, I don't smell shit, bro. I don't smell nothing. There's another good one. It's called Mona Lisa. It's a little bit more expensive, but this right here isn't bad. This is like $17, I think, if I'm not mistaken. This is about $17. The Mona Lisa thinner in this same size jug is $23. Or wait a minute, is this $23 and the Mona Lisa is like $32? That Mona Lisa shit is kind of expensive, yo, but it's good though. You can find me at Paintings by the Prince. I'm on Instagram and Facebook under the same title. I don't know how you're watching this right now because I use my PS4 to stream, so you can find me on PlayStation. Of course, on my YouTube. You can email me at travisprince81@yahoo. Or you can contact me on my website, www.travisprince.blogspot.com. So there's several ways. Yeah, dude. That's why you gotta get shit when they're on sale, and I actually have to catch something, no lie. Like, I didn't realize this, but this is the last 24 by 36 canvas that I have, and the painting that I just toned, that was actually the last 18 by 24 inch canvas that I have. And I'm looking like, no, I do have some more 18 by 24s. But I was looking like, yo, I just noticed like my supplies are getting kind of low right now. I don't like to be like this. So, like my larger canvases, I got some 36 by 48s. I always have a lot of these because they're so big that people rarely order these. So I use these basically for myself. This right here is a 30 by 40. Once again, it's fairly large. Normally, I do these right here, the 24 by 36, which are the next size down from here. And then I had some 22s by 24s, ran out of those. And then my smaller and mid-sized canvases are starting to get low, and it's like, dang, I really gotta hit the supply store up and get some canvases like literally like ASAP. No lie, I might do it today or tomorrow. No lie, I gotta go see if they got something on sale. Yeah, and that's easy. That's like easy to spend like 300 plus. That's, you know what I'm saying? You go in there, you grab this, you grab that. Well, let me get a tube of this, and then you think, well, let me get the big tube so I can make it last, and go ahead and invest in the big tube right now. Let me get 2 or 3 of these, and let me get a couple of these brushes. Like you say, wham, $417. Like, what? Damn. Practice. And after you finish practicing, shit, practice a little bit more. live in the studio with your boy Trap House doing this art and education thing. Alright guys, this is where I lose all my viewers. For some reason people just like to hear me run my mouth, and then when I actually start painting they're like, yeah, this shit is boring. But I do have to work on this. I've actually talked for an hour and a half. That's easy for me. But I got a little bit more smoothie left. I'm about to go refill my smoothie. And then I gotta get this paint on my palette and work on this painting for a while.
This is important because some of you read, other books and besides my books and things of that nature. And almost all the authors use the word neter for God. The Kemetic word neter for God. And of course the Kemetic word neter gives us the Latin word natura, nature, and it gives us the word also neutral. It's a connection there. Supreme Being will be neutral in the sense that it is not male or female. You understand that? And there is a duality underlying all manifestation. Okay, there's a duality underlying all manifestation. So being, and that's because being is dual. And everything is dual, and Western scientists are wasting billions of dollars, or perhaps they might even worse, trillions of dollars looking for the unipolar entity, a one-pole entity. If it exists and has form, well, it has one side and another side. Anyhow. But, so Nebuchadnezzar has two divisions. One is non-material, non-energy. It's a non-matter energy, or shall we say it's devoid of energy, right? And this corresponds to that aspect of being which is consciousness, will.
Yeah, send me the link to that gallery.
What we will call the self, meaning consciousness, right? You're conscious, right? Your consciousness itself. Okay, your consciousness that is in a form, right? And there's this physical body that you're in, but there are other bodies that you're in as well. All right? That's an assumption for many of you right now, and so on. But consciousness being awareness, it is that which is aware. It is that which understands.
Come on, camera.
It is that which knows, right? Okay? I mean, logically speaking, if there's no consciousness, there could be no knowledge.
Come on, camera.
If there's no consciousness, there could be no, because knowledge is a function of perception.
Oh my God.
Right?
Screw it.
Right, there's perception without recognition. When perception takes place with recognition, there's what? Knowledge. Right? And when this knowledge takes place on an underlying level, just not the surface, but on the underlying principles, then it's understanding. Understanding. You're standing from a point of view where you're no longer thinking superficially. You're grasping the underlying principles. So consciousness is that which knows, right? Where there's no consciousness, there can be no knowledge, right? It is that which knows, that which understands, okay, that which wills, right? That which is aware. Is that clear to you? And consciousness can recognize that it is conscious. Are you conscious? Do you recognize the fact that you're conscious? I'm not talking down to you. I just want you to, you've been trained to think a certain way, to approach knowledge a certain way. You know, like from books and definitions. I want for you to do this empirically. Because you will find that a major aspect of spirituality is for you to experience what we call pure consciousness. To experience the fact that you are not conscious, but consciousness itself. So, do you recognize that you're conscious? The recognition of consciousness is identity. When you recognize that you're conscious, you are identifying yourself with this consciousness. Correct? And if you cease to be conscious, you will cease to be, correct? Even though you have a body there. You will cease to be if you cease to be conscious. Meaning, if you are conscious, you know. If you're not conscious, you don't know. You don't understand. You don't recognize. Is that clear to you? So therefore, the word self involves identity. What represents the I? So within being, that which says I is consciousness, which we're saying is non-material, non-energy. And of course, that's an assumption right now. That's a preposition to you. But it's something that you have to come to realize. That's part of the spiritual work. Stripped from all its mumbo-jumbo. But let's be very logical, right? If I say that being has a duality, if one aspect is non-material, non-energy, the other half has to be an energy, right? Correct? An energy matter entity, correct? We know this energy and matter, that part of being is energy matter. We know that for sure. And one of the biggest mistakes, one of the biggest blunder in the history of the world that has totally messed up the world is the imputing of consciousness to energy, to the energy matter part of being. When we talk about, when we say the conscious mind, for example, you know, well, mind is what? That which manifests thoughts, images, sounds in your head, whatever, right? Energy matter, mind is energy matter. Mind is not conscious. You are conscious of what's going on in the mind, right? There's no little man inside a computer giving you the answers that you're asking for, right? You have a database. I want to know the people who live in Flatbush Avenue in Fenimore. There's not a little man inside there saying, well, let me see, and puts it up on the screen. Energy, matter, has its property that within its own symbol system or architecture, whatever, can manifest effects without, of course, being a living thing or conscious or whatever. Is that clear to you? Huh? So, the will, consciousness, will, being is dualized into non-matter, non-energy, and energy matter. Correct? This non-material, non-energy is divided into consciousness, will as well. You see another dualization inside there, right? Huh? Sure? Consciousness is the receptive aspect of the self, and will is the active aspect of the self, right? This dualization in terms of, active on and inactive, receptive or initiating or whatever, is what the Chinese call yin and yang. The musicians have such understanding, of course, and they call it Shu and Tefnut. So the principal duality is held in the doctrine of Shu and Tefnut. Shu will be the positive, correspond to the Chinese yang. Tefnut will be the negative, correspond to the Chinese yin. Tefnut is receptive, Shu is outgoing. The active, the passive, right? So when you go to Egyptian books and you read that Shu is the air god and Tefnut is the water god, laugh. Have a good laugh. Air versus water and earth are nothing else but metaphors used to capture the nature of the principal duality. Air will rise and fill up this room. Water would, fall down. Passive, you know what I'm saying? And so on. So Tefnut is not water or moisture, and Shu is not air or fire. Air and fire versus water and earth are nothing else but, metaphors to help you understand the principal dualization. Contrasting, to telegraph down the road.
Oh, that's crazy. In North Carolina? Yeah, I'm from South Carolina, yo. Only thing is, I live in Pennsylvania now. That's a cool looking little gallery.
When the Europeans speak of the many gods of ancient Egypt, no, there are different conceptualizations of divinity. You know that? Ptah is not a god. Ptah is a conceptualization. The way the Supreme Being was conceptualized in one of the, university temples. at Nefer. Okay? As opposed to at Anu, the Supreme Being is conceptualized, you see, as Osir and Ra. Is that clear to you? So throughout in the history of Kemet, there were different universities that, in a society that is some 4,000-5,000 years of age, different concepts developed. Like in the Western world, we have the physics of Sir Isaac Newton, which explained a lot of things and made a lot of physics and scientific accomplishment possible. And then comes Einstein with an entirely different science that could not be, integrated and reconciled with Newtonian physics, and should have destroyed Newtonian physics, but it didn't. So here we have two physics that are very, opposite to each other, contradictory, and should refute one another, existing side by side, because they're different conceptualizations. There's not an Einstein universe and a Newton universe. They're different conceptualizations, different symbolic sets that leads the understanding to that reality, different ways of manipulating, symbols to manipulate reality. So that in Kemet, you see, when I speak about Osir and Ra, and I speak about Ptah, and so forth, I'm using different conceptual models. And people think the model is the thing itself. Oh, they worship many gods. Heck no. They have different conceptual models for understanding God. Sign of a fertile mind, a culture with fertility, creativity. Huh? It's energy matter and non-energy matter. On one side is energy matter, on the other side is non-energy matter. Right? So this energy matter is unconscious, okay? And it is the not self. Okay? Energy matter is what we would call spirit. So you see, for example, in the Hebrew Bible, right? It's a very interesting thing. You gotta read carefully. Go back and meditate on what you read. It says in the creation story, right? And the Spirit of God hovered over the waters. You remember that? Y'all remember that, right? You lie. You never read the Bible. Come on now. It's all right if you didn't read the Bible. And the Spirit of God hovered over the waters of the deep. Well, it didn't say that God was a spirit. It said the Spirit of God. It's expressing a duality. Here is God and here is the Spirit. It is not God that's hovering over the water, it is God's Spirit, the Ruach. Ruach Elohim hovers over the Tohu and Bohu. Hey? Is that clear to you? In the Kemetic system, this spirit, we call it Ra. And the self, the consciousness, we call it, before it manifests itself in the world, it is called Atum. But Atum is what we call an adjective noun. An adjective noun, meaning it is the name that we give to something, but that name is really descriptive of the attributes and qualities of the thing. Let me give you an example For example, let's say that, Camille, right? Let's say that you have mastered the magic of invisibility. You've made yourself invisible and can't bring yourself back. That's the problem, but it has its perks.
Heart in the dark.
Right? And you do wonderful things. You go around the world as a super heroine, a shero. Right? You're doing all these great things and so forth. So we refer to her as the invisible. You follow what I'm saying? We call her invisible. So that her attribute has become her name. She's the only one that has that attribute in one now. Okay? So when we say invisible is here. So invisible, what's a noun now? It's a proper name. But it's really an adjective that describes an attribute, correct? So a tomb is not a god, eh? A tomb is nothing else but an adjective that has been elevated to the level of a noun. Okay? It is an adjective, it's the word that we would use to indicate a reality that is imponderable and irreducible. Something that cannot be multiplied. When we can conceive, right, the idea of something that cannot be multiplied, cannot be divided. You can't add to it, you can't subtract to it. It is complete, perfect, one way. It is immutable, unalterable. Is that clear to you? And you say, well, gee, if something exists, you should be able to feel it, touch it, act on it. So what we say, but it cannot be altered, cannot be touched, felt. There's no energy matter in it. You see that? That's what the meaning of the word atom. Greek young man went to Egypt to study. And he went to the temple of Anu and received his teaching. And he ran back to Greece. And it says that underlying all things is the atom. And the Greek says, what's the atom? Well, it's something that cannot be reduced, cannot be divided, because it's the primordial nature of all things.
The email wouldn't open. Yeah, I got it. Whatever you sent me, I couldn't open it. It was a file or something. Yeah, but I got it. I actually went to go upgrade my phone the other day. I'm gonna just have to kick out the money for it, but I hate to do that. But damn. Yeah, like a lot of little weird things going on with my phone lately. Certain files can't open, and sometimes I get text messages like an hour later or something. And one of my speakers is messed up on it. But it's like 2 years old, so man, I hate getting a phone like every year. That shit don't make no sense. Oh damn, I let my phone cut off.
Supposing that I say to you,
Now at the Honda.
gee, I'll never forget, there was a great Zen master I knew once in New York. He was giving a lecture one evening, and he was dressed in his gold ceremonial robes, and he was sitting in front of an altar like this sort of thing, but he had a table in front of him with very formal, with candles on it and a sutra, scripture on a little desk, and he was lecturing on the sutra, and he said, fundamental principle in Buddhism is no purpose, purposelessness. When you drop fart, you don't say, at 9 o'clock I drop fart. It happened of itself. You know, all these pious Western devotees, you know, kind of put their handkerchiefs in their mouths and try not to laugh. But that's the meaning of something that happens of itself, like drop fart or have hiccups or just you came into being, you know. It happens in a kind of a plop way like that. See? Now, you can't tell that process. You ought to happen. You must happen. Because that puts a bind on it. Same way as when you have a little child and all the relatives have come to a party on Thanksgiving, and you put the child into the middle of all the relatives and say, now dear, play. See, it absolutely bugs the child to do it like that. The thing is that we have been educated to use our minds in a certain way, a way that ignores or screens out the fact that every one of us is an aperture through which the whole cosmos looks out. You see, it's as if you had a light covered with a black ball. And in this ball were pinholes. And and each pinhole is an aperture through which the light comes out. So in that way, every one of us is actually a pinhole through which the fundamental light, that is the existence itself, looks out. If we can maintain at the same time the sense of being this specific John Jones with his role in life or whatever, and know also underneath this that we are the whole works, you get a very marvelous and agreeable arrangement. This is a most remarkable harmoniousness. I mean, it gives one's life a great sense of joy and exuberance. If you, in other words, you know that all the serious predicaments of life are a game. Now, I want to put it two ways. I'm not saying that it's a bad thing, something to be condemned, to take your own individual life seriously, in dead earnest, and to have all the problems that go with that. Do you understand that being that way, that being a real mixed up human being, is a manifestation of nature that is something just like the patterns on the waves out here, or like a seashell. You know, we pick up shells and say, my goodness, isn't that gorgeous? There's not an aesthetic fault in it anywhere. It's absolutely perfect. Now, I wonder if these fish look at each other's shells and say, don't you think she's kind of fat? Oh my, those markings aren't really very well spaced. Because that's what we do. See, we don't realize that all of us in our various goings-on and behavior and so on are just as much, and more marvelous, much more complicated, much more interesting. All these gorgeous faces that I'm looking at, you know, every one of them, some are supposedly pretty, some are supposedly not so pretty, but they're all absolutely gorgeous. And everybody's eyes is a piece of jewelry beyond compare. You. But we have specialized in a certain kind of awareness that makes us neglectful of that. We specialize in more or less briefly concentrated, pinpoint attention. We look at this and we look at that. And we select from all the things we might possibly be aware of, only certain things. And as a result of that, we leave out of our everyday consciousness, generally speaking, two dimensions of experience. One amazing beauty of experience that we never see at all. And on the other hand, the very deep thing, the sense of our basic identity, unity with, oneness with the total process of being. See, because we are staring, as it were, at certain features of the landscape, we don't see the background. And because we get fascinated with, you know, I could go into details of this shell, as I said, and put myself in the mind of a conch or whatever it is that lives in this thing, and to say, that's not so hot, that one. Like that, see. And so, I wouldn't see the whole thing. But when I look at it like this, when anybody looks at it like that, we say, oh my God, isn't that gorgeous? Another way of talking about the web is that there are different levels of magnification. For example, supposing you take a piece of embroidery, and here it is, obviously in front of you, an ordered and beautiful object. Then you take out a microscope and you look at the individual threads. At a certain point, as you turn up the microscope, you'll get a hopeless tangle, which doesn't make any sense at all. The wrapped fiber that constitutes the thread is a mess. Hasn't been organized, nobody did anything about it. But at the level of magnification at which you actually see it with the naked eye, it's all been organized. Microscope. Take one of those individual threads in the fiber that seems to be so chaotic and go into the constitution of that. And again, you will find fantastic order. You will find the most gorgeous designs of molecules. Then to keep turning it up. And again, at a certain level, you'll find chaos again. All right, keep going. At another level, you will find this marvelous order. Now you see, order and randomness constitute, in other words, the warp and the woof. Where everything is in order, everything's under control. In randomness, it's it's a mess. But we wouldn't know what order was unless we had messes. It's the contrast of order and messes that order itself depends upon. When you lose sight of the fact that the order principle and the random principle go together, that's exactly the same predicament as losing sight of the fact that all individually delineated things and beings are connected underneath. Like mountains stick out of the earth, and there's the fundamental earth underneath them. So all of us as different things, we stick out of reality. And there's a continuity underneath, but you ignore that, you see. That's the thing that's left out. See, I'm just giving you many examples of the same principle. But really, deep down, we are, each one of us, everything that there is. Doing it this way, and then again that way, and then again another way. And that's what it keeps up doing forever and ever. Only, it has holidays, which are called deaths.
Yo!
You know, in the story of the
up?
creation of the world in the Bible, God works for 7 days and rests the seventh. Holidays, holy day. And the Sabbath for the Jews is Saturday, for the Christians is Sunday, because Saturday is the last day of the week, But Sunday is the first day of the week, and it's a slight difference of alteration between a Jewish temperament and a Christian temperament. Some people like to take the holiday and then do the work. Other people like to do the work and then take the holiday. And since the Jews do the work first and then take the holiday, they're always a little up on the Christians in business. Is that a holiday, this pause between something going on, is of the essence of the idea of a web. For example, there's an famous Irishman who's supposed to have described a net as a lot of holes tied together with string. So the holes are very, very important.
There.
And these are the holy days. You see the holes. This all goes together. So there must be that interval, and it exists on all kinds of levels. It isn't simply that there is, for example, a sound that is sounded.
And I gotta repeat that though. A net is a bunch of holes tied together with string. Yeah, that's crazy. I like how they worded it though. Gotta keep them holes together, man. Better tie them holes together.
Is a vibration. And the sound goes on and off. Everything that we call sound is sound silence. There is no such thing as pure sound. You couldn't hear it. What you hear is that tap, 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 tap against the eardrum. But it happens very fast, so that you get more of an impression of sound than you do of silence. But between every little undulation of sound, there is also an interval. When you listen to music, you hear a melody. But what you hear, actually, that makes the melody significant are the steps between the tones, what we call the intervals. And the person who doesn't hear intervals is tone deaf. He doesn't hear the steps. So that interval between whatever happens is as important as what happens. So we'll call these two things, the sound and the silence, the life and the death, somewhat analogous in weaving to the warp and the woof. There's something that always struck me as a child, fabulous, that string, just thread, could turn into cloth. Say you take a ball of wool and suddenly it turns into a sweater. Fantastic. But I found out, you see, the secret of this, which is that it will do this, it will hold together by this combination of warp and woof. By this process where one thread goes under the other, omits the next, goes under the other, and then the next thing does the same thing but in the opposite way. Connect that. And they hold each other up. For example, you can put two sticks of wood and lean them against each other, and they'll stand up. You know, the Chinese character for man looks more or less like that. And although this is simply the brush form, the brush abbreviation of what were originally the legs of a little human stick figure. There's a story that Japanese children sometimes learn from their mothers, that the reason this is the character for man is that two sticks lent together as I described will keep each other up, and the one depends on the other. It's mutual. And so in the same way, the existence of human beings depends on our supporting each other. Without that, no one of us can exist. But that, which may seem a little trite, a little sort of moralistic and so on, but it is absolutely fundamental. That anything that there is, whenever we can say that something exists, existence is a function of relationship. Motion itself is a function of relationship. For example, if there is only one object, one small ball in the middle of endless space, nobody knows whether it's moving. Because you can't tell whether it's approaching anything or whether it's going away from anything, because there's nothing else. So in that state of affairs, no motion exists. But if we introduce a second ball into the picture, and the two either come towards each other or go away from each other, then we can say that both of them, or either of them, is in motion. We can't decide which is the one that's doing the moving, because it could be one, could be the other. Now we'll put three balls into space, and we find two of them staying together and the other one going away. Now it's up to the two of them to decide whether the other one is going away from them or they are going away from the other, because two is a majority in this case. And the vote always, of course, goes to the majority. The universe being basically a democratic organization. And so it goes. Now, once you've got that, you can see that motion is a form of relationship. All right, let me put it in another way. Energy is a form of relationship. If the universe is basically a play of energy, then you can say energy and relationship go together. Now, what is this saying? This is saying that being, existence itself, is relationship. The sun sends out light into space. The space surrounding the sun will be black darkness, as if there were no light in it, unless a planet happens to float by. When a planet floats by, there will be light. But if there isn't anything to relate to the sun, then comes no light. Now this goes right down to the root and ground of everything. And that's why one of the basic symbols of the universe is the Chinese yin-yang symbol, which you know is a circle with an S curve in the center. One side of the S is black, the other is white. And so it makes, as it were, two commas or two fishes. And the eye of the fish is the opposite color. The white fish has a black eye, the black fish has a white eye. Now, this is what I really want you to understand. To get into the unitive world, underneath, underlying and supporting the everyday practical world, there have to be certain alterations in one's common sense. Now, there are certain ideas, and beyond these ideas, certain feelings that are difficult to get across, not because they're intellectually complicated, not at all because of that, but because they're unfamiliar. They're strange. We haven't been brought up to accommodate them. In exactly the same way that in past times, people knew that the planets were supported in the sky because they were embedded in spheres of crystal. And if they weren't embedded in spheres of crystal, they would fall down on the earth. Now, when astronomers finally suggested that there were no crystal spheres, people felt unbelievably insecure. See? They had a terrible time assimilating this idea. Now, do you see what it involves to assimilate a really new idea? You have to do quite a flip. For example, there's some people whose number systems only account for quantities. 1, 2, 3, many. So they don't have any concept of four corners to a table. See, a table has many corners. And a pile of pebbles is, in that sense, equivalent to the four corners of a table. Now, they have difficulty, you see, in beginning to assimilate the idea of counting through and numbering all those pebbles.
we've done that. So to us that is perfectly simple. But imagine the kind of mentality, the kind of person to whom that is not simple at all. And now in exactly the same way, there is here what I'm trying to explain, a new idea that most people don't assimilate. And that is the idea of the total interdependence of everything in the world. The Buddhists in Japan call it Jiji Muge. Jiji Muge, between thing and thing, there is no block. And they represent this imagistically as a network. Imagine a multidimensional spider web covered in dew in the morning. And every single drop of dew on this web contains in it the reflections of all the other drops of dew. And in turn, in every drop of dew that one drop reflects, there is the reflection of all the others again. And they use this image to represent the interdependence of everything in the world. In other words, if we give this dewdrop image, if we put it into a linguistic analogy, we would say this: words have meaning only in context. The meaning of any word depends upon the sentence or upon the paragraph in which it's found. So that if I say, this tree has no bark, that's one thing. And if I say, this dog has no bark, that's another thing. So you see always that the meaning of the word is in relation to the context. Now, in exactly the same way, the meaning as well as the existence of an individual person, an organism, is in relation to the context. You are what you are. Sitting here at this moment in your particular kind of clothes, and with the particular colors of your faces and your particular personalities, your family involvements, your business involvements, your neuroses and your everything. You are that precisely in relation to an extremely complex environment. So much so that if, let's take for example this piece of wood that forms a support to the beam out here. Now believe me, this is true. You can see that has little nubbles on it and so on. If it were not the way it is, you would not be the way you are. The line of connection between what is, it is, and you are, is very, very complicated. Also, we could say, if a given star that we observe didn't exist, you would be different from what you are now. I don't say you wouldn't exist, but you would exist different. But you might say the connection is very faint, is something that you don't ordinarily have to think about. It's not important. But basically it is important. Only you say, I don't have to think about it because it's there all the time. see, for example, the floor is underneath you all the time. Some sort of floor, some sort of earth. And you really don't have to think about it. It's just always there, it's always around. If you become insensitive, you stop thinking about it.
Yeah, I'll definitely send you a link, bro.
But there it is. And so in the same way, our subtle interdependence with, mind you, it's not just our plain existence, it's the kind of existence we have is dependent upon all these things. But the fundamental thing is existence is relationship. If my finger up here is all alone and the wind doesn't move and nothing touches it, it stops knowing that it's there. But if something comes along and does, immediately it's aware that it's there. You see, it takes two. We could have so much fun, but it takes more than one. And she don't want it. But in this way, you see, what we call duality, you can see, can't you, how duality is fundamental. It takes two. But duality is always secretly unity. Take the contrast between the words we use, explicit and implicit. They're very valuable words. What is explicit? What's on the outside? That's, say, how we come on publicly. Explicitly, we are thus and so. We have a fight. We're in competition, say, in business, explicitly. But implicitly, we've worked this out, that we've agreed in a secret way that nobody knows about, that this competition is extremely valuable to both of us. Take it politically, for example. Let's take the situation of Russia versus the United States. Explicitly, in public, this has to be a big fight. These two ways of life, these two ideologies are opposed. They say, no, we're... But behind the scenes, it's all been carefully worked out. You bet it has. That this opposition has to happen. Because our economy depends on it. And their economy depends on it. And everybody knows this who's got who's smart. But there are a lot of people who get taken in by the propaganda, and they should be taken in because that makes the thing work. It's crazy. But that's the way it goes. And everything works this way. for example, when swans start to mate, they're not sure what they're supposed to do. And they begin to fight. I had a long talk about this with C.G. Jung. He lived on the edge of Lake Zurich, and he had a little summer house right on the water's edge, and there were many swans there. And I was getting up at the end of a conversation with him, and we were beginning to walk back to the main house, and I said, "Isn't it true that swans are monogamous?" And he said, "Yes, they are." He said, "Do you know, I have had the most interesting relationships between these swans, and many of my female patients who thought they were homosexual." I mean, Jung wasn't a sexual snob. I mean, he understood all the legitimacy of all kinds of sexual variations. But he said it has been a point of departure for our discussions. And he said it's a very funny thing that when they begin to mate, they start fighting. And they don't know what it's all about, and then suddenly the fight turns into lovemaking. So that's what I mean. Underneath opposition, there is love. Underneath duality, there's unity. The Tweedledum and Tweedledee agreed. So, you see, here's that weaving principle. The things hold together by over, under, over, over, under, over, under. And that creates a stuff, it creates a fabric, it creates clothing, it creates shelter, it creates what we call matter. Matter. And also the same word, maya, illusion. So we go with the whole thing. Interdependent. We don't live in an environment which is just rock, just air, just atmosphere and so on. The environment's only like that when we think about it analytically and try to explain it. But when we think of it isn't just rock and air, see, but those things go together. When you see the intervals, the significance of the relationships between these things, once you spot that, you spot how everything goes with the thing, but you are one end and that out there is the other end, and they really go together, then you may be said to be living a harmonious life.
There is a reciprocity, a total mutual interdependence between what we call the self and what we call the other. That's the warp and the woof. And so if you're perfectly honest about loving yourself, and you don't pull any punches, you don't pretend that you are anything other than exactly what you are, you suddenly come to discover that the self you love, if you really go into it, is the universe. You don't like all of it. You're selective about it, as we saw in the beginning. Perception is selection. But on the whole, you
love yourself in terms of what is other. Because it's only in terms of what is other that you have a self at all. So then, I feel that one of the very great things that C.G. Jung contributed to mankind's understanding was the concept of the shadow. That everybody has a shadow. And that the main task of the psychotherapist is to do what he called to integrate the evil, to, as it were, put the devil in us in its proper function. Because you see, it's always the devil, the unacknowledged one, the outcast, the scapegoat, the bastard, the bad guy. See, the black sheep of the family. It's always from that point, which we could call the fly in the ointment. In other words, in the same way as in the drama, to have the play, it's necessary to introduce a villain. It's necessary to introduce a certain element of trouble. So, in the whole scheme of life, there has to be the shadow. Because without the shadow, there can't be the substance. So this is why there is a very strange association between crime and all naughty things and holiness. You see, holiness is way beyond being good. Good people aren't necessarily holy people. A holy person is one who is whole, who has, as it were, reconciled his opposites. And so there's always something slightly scary about holy people. And other people react to them in very strange ways. They can't make up their minds whether they're saints or devils. And so holy people have throughout history always created a great deal of trouble. Take Jesus, for example. The trouble that Jesus created is absolutely incalculable. Think of the Crusades, the Inquisition, heaven only knows what's gone on in the name of Jesus. Very remarkable. Freud's a big troublemaker, as well as a great healer, you see. It all goes together. So the holy person is scary, because he is like the earthquakes, or better still, he's like the ocean. See the ocean on a lovely sunny day, you can say, oh, isn't that gorgeous? And you can go into it and relax and float around. But boy, when the storm comes, does that thing get mad and terrifying. So there is in us the ocean, you see. And Jung felt that the whole point was to bring the two together. And by a kind of fantastic honesty, to penetrate one's own motivations to the depths.
It's not DiGiorno. I mean, it's not deliberate. It's
that nobody can be completely honest. That you will try and you'll have a great deal of success in exploring your motivations and your dark, unconscious depths. But there will be a certain point at which you will say, well, I've had enough of that. Do you see how, in a strange way, there's a certain sanity in that? When a person indulges in a certain kind of duplicity, of deception, there is something, you all laughed when I said that, there was something humorous about it. And this humor is a very funny thing. Basically, humor is an attitude of laughter about oneself. There is malicious humor, which is laughing at other people. But real deep humor is laughter at oneself. Now, why fundamentally do you laugh about yourself? What makes you laugh about yourself? Isn't it because you know that there is a big difference between what goes on the outside and what goes on the inside? That if I hint, you see, that your inside is the opposite of your outside, it makes people laugh. If I don't do it unkindly. If I get up in the attitude of a preacher and say, you're a bunch of miserable sinners and you ought to be different, nobody laughs. But if I say, well, after all, boys will be boys and girls will be girls, and we all know, then people laugh.
Boy. That hit the spot. All right, y'all want to listen to one more of these? I'm gonna watch Chill Chill.
Some people will use a symbolism of the relationship of wherein God is a brilliant light, only somehow veiled, hiding underneath all these forms that you see as you look